Let's go! Who's up next?
Welcome, Internet, to the Xbox Empire podcast, part of the Play Some Video Games network of podcasts. I'm Elaine. Donnie's here. Donnie's always here. He runs this show, so I don't have to pull any dials. And Seth is here this week.
Howdy.
We've got Seth. I don't know. I'm not looking at the actual stream, so I don't know which direction to point if you're watching this live. So I'm just going to point and I'm just going to do this. Yeah. Did I do it? Cool. Hi, Seth. How you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. It's been a snowy week in Ohio. Had no school Monday or Tuesday. By snowy week, I mean we've had like 3 inches of snow.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Which wrecks my city for some reason.
There's a foot of snow in New Jersey.
Okay.
My dog is actually at the point of being pissed because he's like, bro, I'm wet. And I don't want to be wet because I'm a German Shepherd and I don't like it, but I want to stick my nose in the snow and fling it up in the air. But then I come in and I look at you. He looks at me like, lady, please help. I don't want to be wet. There's a creepy snowman in the backyard staring at my house. I love my children. Don't appreciate that one bit. So we're still digging out, but luckily it's a pandemic. I have nowhere to go.
That's true.
So, and I have lots of news and video games to talk about.
We have tons.
Because this has been a fun week. Mm-hmm. Before we talk about news, let's talk about video games. Let's talk about the medium, actually, specifically. Donnie, you and Seth are both playing this. I have started it, but I am not as deep as you two. So tell me about this video game, which is on Game Pass. I figured I'd start that nice and early in this podcast.
Seth, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I can. It's I was saying in our Discord, I haven't played a scary game in a while, since maybe Outlast is maybe the last one.
Okay.
I did play I guess depending on how you count Hellblade. I don't know. But,
I don't count Hellblade.
Yeah.
It had its moments of discomfort.
But I wouldn't call it a scary
it's
game.
not the same kind of thing. So
not tense.
So this one I really like. I like the setting. I like the story so far, and it's more just kind of creepy. There's not a lot of jump scares.
How far are you?
I'm only.
How many chase sequences have you got through?
Just the first one.
Okay.
All right. So I'm still. I know I'm pretty early, but it's
Sure.
a short game too. I think
It is.
But I'm maybe an hour and a half in.
Yeah, sounds about right.
We've been talking about like an 8 to 10 hour length, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're talking
it might
about-
even be shorter than that.
I'm of the opinion
Depends.
that's the right length for a horror game.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I agree
don't
with you
overstay
there.
your welcome on horror. I feel the same way about horror movies. Hour and a half, 2 hours, absolute max. Stop overstaying your welcome.
You gotta have really, really good like writing and plot to go further.
You can only twist weird stuff so many times before you're just like, ugh, fine, you know?
Sure.
Yep.
So,
I do. I like how it's an adventure game. It's not a point and click adventure, but it's a 3D adventure game, and I like how everything makes sense. Like, okay, you need to get into this building, so you need to go find a screwdriver so you can, because the handle's off, so you can twist the screwdriver. So I like how things make sense. It's not like
it's linear.
Grim Fandango, where you have to find, I don't even know, you have to find random stuff in Grim Fandango to progress. It makes sense. It's great. It's good so far. I don't know how far I'll get into it. This first chase sequence kind of got me, and I was telling, I think I was saying in the Discord where it was dark outside, and I saw a light floating in my backyard while I was playing it.
Yeah, you did.
So
it's the ghost, no big deal.
It's a ghost.
I don't know if I can handle it.
It's definitely a ghost.
Too much
Really
longer.
the ghost.
But it's good so far. The only the character models are kind of the movement's kind of wonky.
Yeah.
And there's like mannequin eyes.
Yeah.
But
I think it's an easy stone to throw on the animation side. It's not The Last of Us. and like the models when they run kind of have like this janky power walk kind of like shuffle to them.
Okay, so like Silent Hill running.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
Like,
this game looks like an early.
Resident Evil.
I don't want to say it looks
it
like an
doesn't
early.
look like-
It kind of moves like an early.
It feels that way.
2000s
It has a
game.
feel. The
feels
vibes.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely
But
gonna
it looks. The environments are good looking.
Gorgeous.
I mean, yeah.
okay.
How heavy does this game lean into the? I want to know how heavy it leans into the split screen.
I've seen a lot of it so far.
It's there. It's not there all the time.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of it. I would, if I had to like benchmark it, I would say maybe 25% of the journey.
Okay.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's not
That's not bad because I know I've heard some performance complaints when it splits. Obviously, it's rendering two environments at once, and this is not. Look, let's be clear. This is not like a huge AAA studio here. Okay?
Oh, it's exclusive, first party. Like the entire hopes of us buying our Xbox Series X's depended on this game being the latest and greatest game in video games, as according to the PlayStation XP this morning.
Try to be kind. Try to, or I love that you're starting a fight on this podcast.
I couldn't
showed up late.
believe.
Messing with your PlayStation.
All right.
Sir.
All right. I want to say
right.
things because I got things to say.
Say things. Let's hear this.
I really like this game. Like I really like it in a way that I never expected. And Elaine, we've been talking to lead up through the launch of this console. I told you I was going into this with some pretty low expectations. I had seen a couple streams and some of the gameplay, and I was like, I don't know, guys. Like the Blair Witch, I didn't like. Layers of Fear, I really didn't like. And I'm like,
I didn't play Layers of Fear.
I don't know if they've got the chops to pull this off. In my opinion, this game is far better than those games, like exceedingly much better. Now, the funny part is
great to hear because
I wrote some things down after my first two play sessions 2 days ago. My thoughts have almost completely changed since then. And that's the funniest part about this is like listening to Seth. After my first hour with the game, I was literally like, it's cool. Like I get what it's doing, but I don't know if I'm going to finish it. Sitting here today, I'm like, I'm absolutely finishing this game. Like I can't wait to finish it.
So let me ask you, is it the narrative that's driving that?
Yeah.
Or the it's the narrative. Okay, that's really great to hear because I think that if you're gonna do a horror game, because they inherently become janky. Horror games they rely upon things to elicit a response from the player that are janky. Tank controls are janky. Camera angles that are fixed are janky. They're not great. So to me, you want to drive a horror game to the end point for me, it has to have a narrative that makes me want to stay. So that's encouraging because that makes me want to dig in. Like I like it so far. I've played less than Seth. I'm into it, but I want it to pull me more.
Okay.
Give me more.
So I've got a few things to say. First thing I do want to address, because it was said a lot earlier, when I say earlier, I mean on the PlayStation XP podcast where Delvin was talking about this game. This game doesn't have tank controls. It's not just them saying it. Other people are saying it too. And I'm not exactly sure. So one of the things I wanted to say was, I mean, personally, I've said this a bunch. My like foundation in video games, like if you were building a pyramid of Donnie's video games, basically Zelda, Mario, and horror games. Like all through the 90s, that's what I played. Sure. Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Dino Crisis, Zelda, and Mario. Like that's
well, you grew up with that's the 90s.
Right.
You have the 90s non-JRPG starter kit experience. Yeah. If you don't play JRPGs, you usually lean that way. That's the way it works, right?
So when I heard, and I said, they're not the only people who said it. I've seen people on Twitter and everything say tank controls. And even leading up to the game, I've seen people say tank controls. There is a difference between a video game that has a fixed camera perspective and a game that has tank controls. A game that has tank controls, like Resident Evil 2, means that you have to stop before you turn and change direction and run forward. I think tank controls can make a scary game scarier, so I won't say that I hate them. But in 2021, we've come a long way since tank controls. Now, I would even say Resident Evil 4, which I brought up earlier, doesn't have tank controls, but when you shoot,
no.
It is a stop and turn like a tank type thing. So even if it was like that, I would hear the tank control argument. This game merely has a fixed camera perspective.
Fixed camera.
That's it. That's all it is. And for whatever reason, some people say that's tank controls now.
So this is like the best example that I can think of to equate this is when they did Resident Evil 1 remake. They kept the fixed camera, but gave you the option of the straight up tank or the alternate motion, which gives you this is the alternate motion.
You can run in circles in this game
with
if you
the
want
fixed
to.
camera.
Yeah.
You can make your right always go in one direction. It's not tank controls are when you press right, it always goes to the character's right.
Yeah.
That's not the way that this controls. So
So I wanted to get
so this is remake. Yes.
I wanted to get that out of the way.
Great.
The second thing that I wanted to get out, because here's the thing. After my first, I'm looking at my notes here. My first one, I had some issues, and I wanted to say it's not just issues. I had just things I'd written down, notes. It plays a lot more like if you're looking for a comparison, it plays a lot more like Until Dawn. You don't have the decisions, obviously, but like the way you're playing the game, controlling the characters, playing the game, what it looks like on screen is very Until Dawn-ish. In that regard. And then, as Seth said, it's an adventure game. You're getting it's scary. The horror in the medium isn't like Texas Chainsaw Evil Within, Run for Your Life. It's more mystery. It's more solve what's going on. It's more cryptic. And
so Resident Evil, right?
Yeah,
but not quite as obtuse.
But zero action.
Interesting.
All? You're not fighting. There's no combat in this game.
No, but you run away from.
I was just going to say
you get little. See, and this is where the spoiler thing comes in. You get little powers that let you evade, but you're not fighting. You're not going to stop and let's do this. You're not. That's not going to happen in this game.
So this is leaning more towards like an Outlast, where you don't. There's no combat. There's no interaction.
I would say it's more like a third person, like Edith Finch, or like an Ethan Carter. It's more like a walking sim in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of walking around, inspecting things, finding things, to get other things, to inspect other things, like just an adventure game.
Yeah, that's an adventure game.
Okay,
all right.
Like Clock Tower.
It's been a long time since I played Clock Tower. That's a throwback.
It's not the same, obviously, but like just in kind of its style and its vibe, it's more Clock Tower, old Silent Hill in that regard. Yeah. Because like in Clock Tower, you could never fight Scissorman. All you could do was run away, and like maybe you get items to help you run away, but really all you could do is run and hide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So that aside, I want to talk about a few things. So where do you want to go? I want to talk about the split screen, and I want to talk about the story. Where do you want to go first?
Okay, let's touch the split screen because I'm curious about this. Is it an activated? Like I said, I haven't played enough to really get a sense. Like I booted it, I went through essentially the intro, and I was like, I just don't have the mental capacity. Is it an activated, or do they force you into it?
They force you into it.
Yeah, there are certain spots where you're in split screen,
and there are other sections that you'll hop between them to complete puzzles and things. You'll use both to your advantage.
Fully?
Yeah.
Is it still showing you both, or do you go full screen?
You will literally
That's
flip
cool.
The entire dimension. You'll go, from the light world to the dark world and back again.
That's cool.
To gain access to different areas, to complete puzzles and stuff like that. In the sections where you literally have the split screen going on both at the same time, I am not as big a fan of. I know that was this game's gimmick, and now that I've played it, it's kind of maybe a weak point for me for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, and I think this way, I wrote this down, I think this way with horror movies that do this too. The one that I always point out as recent is Host, which is a Shudder original, where you have all these different webcams going on. There's no way you can possibly focus on both things at one time. Right?
Yes, brains don't work this way.
So what you're doing is you're like
work.
Doing something in one and then looking at the other one to see if you've missed something. And there are things that you can miss because there are certain things that are in each perspective. So I don't like that as much. 2,
agree.
It is a little wonky when a character in one dimension has to interact with a door or a cart or something, and the character in the other dimension where that thing is not present does the exact same animation because they're mirroring. That's weird.
Oh, that's not how real world works.
Janky, like cheap, like cheap maybe a jab too far, but it's just like, guys, you could have maybe not done that. Just polished it up a little bit more than that.
Almost like it's using the tech for the text just to show it off.
Yeah, kind of, because it's like you're pushing a cart and you see the other one that's just pushing air. You're like, what are you doing?
Right. Or she's just talking to herself.
Do you think it would have been better served to let the player choose to flip?
I do.
and then interact, and then
Yeah, and-
flip back and rewind the time to see what happened.
And I do.
Would that have
I
been a
do
better way to
say
handle it?
the performance hit when they do the split screen, as cool as it is.
Yeah, it's ugly.
It's not worth it. It really muddies up the picture.
No, I agree.
A little bit, and it's just like I would rather not do it. I would rather flip. I would rather have scripted segments where you flip and use them both. When it does that, it's very, very good. And as Seth mentioned earlier, the environmental design in this game is great. It's some of the scariest and like scary. If you're going to a video game expecting to be like scared out of being able to play the game, like we've just come a long way since then. If you've been playing these for a while, I don't know if that exists. But the environments that they do, especially
Resident Evil. I was going to say Resident Evil 7 came pretty close for a lot of people, dude. I mean, especially when you popped on a VR headset.
I was going to
that
say
game,
maybe
like,
in
that game
VR
made
because that's a
uncomfortable.
newer experience. But like I played Resident Evil 7, I can't tell you I was scared. Now I also watched
But-
100 horror
But you
movies
love
a year.
horror.
Right?
though.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, dude,
for someone
you're the
like
target
me.
market.
Yeah, for where this is not a
It's like,
normal
no.
everyday thing.
Sure. This game's environments are super creepy, especially in the Dark World where you've got tentacles and hands. You remember like in Hellblade where you've got skulls, and it's a lot of that, and that is cool and creepy, and it's just kind of unsettling.
It's like what I would imagine new Silent Hill would look like. Not necessarily play like, but like the movie, the first Silent Hill movie, when it does the siren flip between the two worlds and the paint all peels and then it's hell and it's awful.
Yeah.
That is the vibe that I get immediately when I see it do that. So
Yeah, it's
very
okay.
very effective.
So the split screen thing is, it's cool that they do it, but I personally could live without it, given all the other issues that I have with it. The story, I did not expect to grab me
That's good.
80% as much as it has. So here's the thing. I think we talked about it before when the review embargo lifted. I haven't read any reviews, but we saw the scores, right? It's 9s and 10s and it's 3s and 4s. I can 100% say that the difference in those scales and your takeaway is going to depend on how much of the story you get invested into. That's ultimately what this is going to be, the takeaway, because the mechanics are simple and they're mechanics we've had before. There's nothing special here. I was going to say it's almost Life is Strange-ish, to be honest with you, like mechanically.
Sure.
You're walking around, find the thing, get the clues, get to the next thing, unlock the door. The story is non-linear, which is confusing. You're going to get bits and pieces.
Time jumpy?
Yeah. It's not so much time
Okay.
jumpy, but like
That's fine.
you're going to remember things at different times that are not in order.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not going to
So
spoil
it's
this.
like-
I'm going to try
okay.
really, really hard not to.
No, I don't want you to spoil this.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
I want to equate it to a real life event. I don't drink anymore, but it's the I drank way too much and don't remember what I did last night, and I'm slowly piecing it back together in misorder type of thing.
Is
That's
it-
the
is it more
vibe
like-
I'm getting.
Not
It
the
doesn't
same.
come.
As you're going around and finding items where you are, the pieces that you're getting are kind of out of order.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you mean?
And
like
this is a game where,
yeah.
for me, it's helping me a lot to take notes. And if
Okay.
you're not going to,
Okay. Wow.
you may just blast through the story and be like, I don't know what the hell this game is about and why people like it. But if you do, take notes. Remember who people are. Remember how they relate to each other. There are, I don't want to say a lot of characters. I don't want to overhype it. I really like this game. I'm not telling you it's a 10 out of 10, but I really like it. Honestly, I really like it. I like it a lot in a way that I never actually expected it. There are a lot of characters, a handful of characters that are very different. They get introduced at different times. They're all related to each other, not like familial. They all they're very interwoven together. The story that they're telling, they all have these little bits and pieces, and it's how those pieces are starting to fit together and where the story is going that I'm really interested to see the end. I'm not done with it. I'm definitely over halfway through. I haven't looked it up or anything, but I know that I've got to be over halfway through. I've played it like 6 or 7 hours already.
No, yeah, you've got to be there.
You're getting close.
Have you ever played Everybody's Gone to the Rapture?
Yeah.
And I know some people
Oh, dude, that game.
Yeah.
I really like that game.
Mhm.
That's a
But
similar like.
Part of the storytelling in this
Very similar.
reminds me of that.
Very similar. I do want to mention, I said it last night in the Discord. I'm not going to spoil it, but I think it's worth mentioning, especially for somebody out there that is thinking about playing this and they haven't played it, is a dark story. Very dark. It deals with real human complex issues. Just to name a few, like sexual abuse, child abuse, genocide, things like that.
I think it's interesting. Is there a content warning up front on this game?
I don't know.
For that,
Because to be honest with you, even if there was, I just blast through that stuff. I watch so many horror movies.
There were a couple warnings. There was
just in and out.
I don't remember there was some sort of warning.
I didn't
There was
expect.
the normal
Next time
photosensitivity.
Next time I boot it, I'm going to look, because usually if you're going to touch on that kind of stuff, there's usually does not represent real world events, but here's a content warning thing that they do. I'm kind of hoping, because that stuff can be a huge mental health trigger for a lot of people.
Some people don't even want to deal with it, which I understand. And it's not.
Yeah, some people can't.
I should have clarified. It's not like Manhunter Condemned. It's not graphic in your face. It's all implied and hinted at, and it's in the narrative and it's in the dialogue. But that's the part of the game that I'm really into, and I'm trying to piece these. There are hidden notes and things that give you more story than just the cutscenes and things. There are things, to go find. And you guys know me. I'm all about that game. Like, I'm going to find every one of these things. I'm sitting there combing through everything. So if it's a 6-hour game, I guarantee you I'm going to play it for 12. Because I'm doubling back and doing all that stuff. Yeah, and so, but because I'm doing that, I have these notes. I have a Google Doc of who these people are and how they're related to each other and how they've impacted each other. And now I'm in. I'm all in. I'm like, I can't wait to see where this goes. But after the last 2 missions that I beat, I do think that, like, people need to know that ahead of time. I'm actually surprised that I didn't hear more about that in the game's kind of preview cycle, because these are deep topics. Like I said, some people just have no desire to touch on, like they're just out. They're like, no, I'll play something else.
For very good reasons.
Yeah.
Like, we're not implying there's not a good reason. I just want to be very clear. Like, we get it. Like, I get it. You know what I mean?
Be warned.
Yeah, it should be warned.
Because when it happened to me, I was like, oh.
Yeah, like, know that that's coming. Just a content umbrella, right? Like, just give me like a, hey, by the way, there are mentions. It's like when you boot up a Netflix show and at the top it just tells you mentions of language, smoking, alcohol use. Cool. Good to know going in. You know what I mean?
But the horror is, in a lot of ways, it's like, it's very layered. The horror on the face of it, there are monsters and they are great. Troy Baker plays one of them and he is great. He's so good. His character's called the Maw. I don't think that's a spoiler. They led up into that in their preview cycle about that. And it's very good and it's very creepy. The environmental design is very creepy, like body horror-ish stuff. And then the game itself is very gothic, and it's very kind of Silence of the Lambs, analyzing like what makes people horrific. Like it kind of puts you into. It makes you understand. It doesn't condone what's happening, but it tries to give you explanations to why things are happening. And that's like a dark place to go sometimes. It's just a very dark game. It's a very dark game. It's very complex, and there's lots of stuff there. And like I said, I'm getting all the environmental clues and all the notes that I can find, the memoirs and all that type of stuff. I'm digging it. Here's the thing. When I wrote down my notes, I keep looking at my notes. When I wrote down my notes after the day, I was like, I played a little bit more. I like it. I don't know if I want to finish it because it just wasn't very interesting. And then I gave it another 2 or 3 hours, and now it's like I can't not finish it. And now I love the game. Like, I actually love the game. I kind of want them to make a physical copy now. I want to buy the game.
I like the art, like, of the character.
It's
too.
really
like,
good. Oh, and Marianne, the main character, Marianne, she's a great character, and we didn't even talk about her. I mean, she's the medium, right? The name of the game. She's a medium. She's kind of she's not just kind of. She's an undertaker, both in the physical world and in the meta world. She helps souls get on their way, and she also worked in it's called a morgue, but like a funeral home. Yeah. And like she worked there. That's and awesome. she prepared bodies and stuff, and she has a charm to her that's very like inviting. She's a very inviting character and kind of get behind. And I'm digging it. I'm digging it in a way that I didn't. It's exceeded my expectations, which I admitted were low, but it's crushed it. It's went way past it.
That's like, I really like that. I want to come into something either like indifferent, neutral, and have it. I want to be happily surprised. I don't want to be bummed out when I play a new game. Like, I think we all agree, like, it's not fun to get mad and go on Twitter. Then you're just mad and on Twitter.
Yeah.
Let's be happy about the game, right? Like, I
I do think
like that, so
if anybody out there, if I give you some advice, and I hate when people do this, but I'm gonna be a hypocrite here. Give it a couple hours, because it takes a minute for the story to set in. It's a slow burn, like Silent Hill, and it's a narrative driven build, like Silent Hill. Like it's about that. So, if you're going in there just for mechanics and being scared and running away, it's not a game for you. And if you don't like puzzles and figuring out what's happening, it's not a game for you. But if you're into that, if you like that sleuthy, true crime type of thing, it's a game for you. It's one of the best games in that vein last decade, in my opinion.
wow, big words. Didn't even finish it yet. I'm curious to talk to you when you finish it to see if the ending held up your expectation. I'm curious.
Sure.
Because they can crash and burn. Like a good horror movie that's good like 85% of the way, and then the ending, you were so close.
I never put down a horror movie for ending terribly, because here's the thing, 95% of them end terribly. Like it's hard to get out of some of these things when you
Yes, I agree. Like we've discussed at the top of this, like if they overstay their welcome just too long, you're like, you left one too many plot threads, you're never gonna fix it.
The puzzles are complex too. They're not like cheap puzzles.
That's good.
Like, Seth mentioned earlier, like you unlock some doors and stuff, like, but it all builds on itself. It builds on itself. So you're gonna do some stuff later that's gonna ramp it up a little. You try to figure it out. It's not hard. I've not found anything to be hard, but it'll make you think. It'll make you stop and look around for a minute. You'll be like, wait a minute, what am I supposed to be doing?
And I do, and so far, and again, I know I'm not that far. If there's a puzzle, if the solution is either in the room you're in or it's nearby, you're not like, okay, I have to go back downstairs and find.
Yeah, you're not going to be backtracking all the way across, coming all the way back. It's not time consuming in that way. Like I said, it is very linear. It's kind of right there. Basically, the puzzles can be solved in one of two ways. Like you either have the item you need to interact with, or you can like scan things. You need to scan the items that you're looking at with, or you need to flip to the other world. Like basically, if you do one of those three things, you'll figure it out. Eventually, you'll figure it out.
That's good.
I know one of, well, no, I won't. That'd be a spoiler. I had a puzzle that I really liked not too far before this first chase scene where...
The chase scenes.
Where
I should talk about those.
Where you're kind of locked in this room, and then... I don't want to.
The chase, I don't know. The chase scenes, because of the fixed camera perspective, can be a bit of an annoyance. I haven't found them to be like, I hate this, but it's a minor annoyance.
I got caught a couple times.
Yeah, it's memory. You're going to learn from memory because the camera changes.
This is an Evil Within problem. I also had that first Evil Within game with those sections. You just have to execute it the right way, and there's one way to do it right, and
you'll
every
usually
way.
die once because you did the wrong thing, and then you'll learn not to do it, and you'll do it again. And so those are there. And the fixed camera thing, I understand it's not for everybody. I always like it personally. I think it gives games like that a very cinematic feel. It's one of the things I always say about Devil May Cry, like with their cutscenes and their battle scenes, very cinematic because they control the camera a lot, and they want, they're gonna like direct this image to you as opposed to you swinging around doing your own thing. And specifically in horror games, the fixed camera thing is creepy because you feel like you're being looked at. Because like you have a camera, as you see yourself kind of run away. It's like, is there somebody behind the screen? It's like a kind of a thing to it that I appreciate.
It's also deeply claustrophobic because you can never get the more you want. You're always like trapped. Like Resident Evil and Remake does this specifically well. The first remake in the mansion, there are some camera angles with like mirrors behind you. You want to turn the corner to see, but you don't get to see it until the reflection comes off the mirror. That stuff makes my skin crawl, and it's very effective. And while I get that it's not for everybody, it's a horror game. I need that. It adds the atmosphere. Like, I like it.
I do find it scary.
Creep me out, man.
There've been a couple, I wouldn't say just like jump scares, but there've been a couple moments that I either thought were like exceedingly creepy, or I was like, oh, that was good. There've been a couple of those.
Okay, good. That's good. Want that.
It was funny because my notes the first time I wrote like I wanted it to be scarier, and then that's just completely out. Like now I've played, I'm like, oh, it's plenty scary. That's what I told Seth last night. I was like, I retract previous statements. It's definitely scary. Like people, if you don't like scary games, people are. It's not PT scary, but it's plenty scary.
I I'm in for that. Like, I found that Resident Evil 7 did this exceptionally well because every time you thought you were cool, grandma would just show up someplace. Freaking grandma. And it would be like an unexpected, wasn't even set up as a jump scare. It was just right there when it should be, when you were just starting to breathe. And I like it when they do that. So, damn it, grandma.
And it's on Game Pass. Play it. Subscribe to
And
Game
it's
Pass.
on Game Pass. And it's interesting. It's only on Series X and S and PC.
Actually, we had a question about this, and I'm sorry I should have put in notes, but it was like a paragraph long. He DM'd it to me. But the gist of the question was, with what he's played and the sections we've played, do we think that it's like, do we believe what they said, that it can only run on new gen hardware? No, I don't believe that.
Well,
this game
with,
they
with
hadn't-
the split screen part, with as bad as it runs on Series X.
Sure. Now, those are two different things. The answer from the developer was, this is impossible to go anywhere. That's, you know what that means? We don't have the time or the money that we want to make it work on the other things. Could it work? Yeah, it totally could.
This is a resource.
It totally could work. It's just,
Yeah,
why are they going to invest all their time into doing it when it runs the way it does and as best as they can here? It also has ray tracing.
Also,
and
it does, yeah.
the SSR and stuff like that. The lighting is very good, you know.
They're not a big developer, not a lot of resources. They made a judgment call.
So instead of
They made a judgment call.
In response to what you may have heard on PSXP earlier this morning, Bloober Team is not a first-party studio owned by Xbox. That has been a rumor for a long time that maybe they would be acquired, but they're not. They're an indie studio. This is not the first-party exclusive pillar to stand Xbox Series X judgment upon. I understand why people might think that because it's been promoted and all that, but it's not. It's an indie game. It will come to PlayStation. It will. Like I absolutely believe it will come to PlayStation as a timed exclusive. They're an indie studio. They made the Blair Witch. They didn't make Resident Evil, and they didn't make The Evil Within. These are very, very different things.
Blair Witch came to both. And it came to
Switch. Like, adjust the expectations.
I was just going to say
Bring
that,
it down a little. It's not it's just an exclusive. And the only reason it's exclusive is because Xbox bought it for Game Pass.
Right. To be fair, PlayStation's too busy playing Destruction All-Stars right now.
Yeah.
Having fun.
Not starting this fight today. Flip it over tables. I wish this game had made it in time for Halloween. Really wish this game had made it. I understand why it didn't, but I wish it had.
It's one of my it's one of my more favorite horror games that I've played in a bit. I really like these kind of horror games. Like on Switch, I bring it up a bunch. There's like The Coma, and there's The Coma 2 and Detention. And I love these little games. And this game, while it's like 3D, but it's very similar to those, like in what you're doing. And I love these little games. And I love these so much more than the I'm lost and there's somebody hunting me and I have a video camera. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm over that fad.
I never liked it. I need some sort of agency. Yeah. I don't just want to be running away. Like, if I'm solving puzzles and that's my agency, that's cool. If I have a gun and I'm Jill Valentine, that's better because I like her. But I need some sort of agency over control of the story. I don't just want to run away from the creepy thing. That sucks. Yeah. Like, that's just not fun to me personally.
And the thing about that game design that I don't like is the same reason why I typically don't get into like these big long backtracking. My least favorite things about Resident Evil, and I really don't like that about Resident Evil, but in those games a lot of times the monster is literally brought in just to scare you away from where you're trying to go, and then you have to come back. It's just like I could just not. I could just keep moving forward. You could quit wasting my time.
I think Resident Evil is at its best when the area with which you are moving in is much more confined. The mansion, the house in Resident Evil 7, then that loop is better. It works better. Yeah, because it's not stretched over such a big space and you don't feel as crappy about it. You're like, I like working within the confines
playing
of that.
Resident Evil 2 Remake, I was like, I don't know how much I like this anymore. I loved it back in the day, but now I've ran so far.
Look,
all the way over here and all the way back and all the way
I will do a lot of dumb stuff to play a character who's a badass who wears a red leather jacket and drives a motorcycle. She's my hero. Claire's badass, dude. I love her.
We got to get you playing No More Heroes then. Red leather jacket, rides a motorcycle.
I played No More Heroes. No More Heroes is good.
Be a big Travis Touchdown fan.
All right, so you guys played the medium. While you guys were playing the medium, I'm going to mention this briefly. I'm playing the hell out of Hitman 3.
Yeah.
And I had the most delightful moment with Hitman 3, and I tweeted this, but I have to tell this story because it was so good. I went in the basement to play Hitman 3, booted up to second level, which is like basically a big ass mansion in England. Gives you those Knives Out vibes a little bit.
It's the murder mystery.
It's a murder, yeah. And there's literally actually a nice little Easter egg for Knives Out, where as you're walking by one of the bay windows of the house, there's a baseball right on the ground, just like in that movie. It's very good. So I'm sitting down in my basement. I'm alone. My kids are off doing something. My daughter comes down. She's 8. And she goes, "What you doing?" And I was like, trying to figure out how to make this lady's death look like an accident in this video game. And she goes, "I'm great at this. Can I help?" It's the "I'm great at this" that got me. I'm great at this. And I looked at her for a long moment. Yeah. All right, sit down. She goes, "Okay, Mom, okay. A power strip and some water and a screwdriver." I'm like, "Bro, what?" Like, she's scary. I think you should watch out for my daughter. We executed that perfectly. And then she helped me solve the puzzle to figure out how to open a safe. She's getting paper. She's got a crayon. She's ready to take notes. She's my ride or die murder mystery homie. Like,
All right.
It was great. It was a very, it has a very good like video game versus real life line. Which is why I let her hang out with me, because it's silly to her. It's a game. It's a sandbox. And she was just like enraptured. Just like drawing, like watching the guards. And she's just like, "Okay, my favorite part. I'm in this room." She's like, "Mom, that guy's alone. Hit him with that baseball and put him in the box." I'm like, whoa! Damn.
Hit him with that baseball. That's all it takes to take somebody out in Hitman. You just throw a baseball at him?
That knocks him unconscious.
What is he, like Nolan
She goes,
Ryan?
"Mom," throws everything. Look, I knocked a dude unconscious with a muffin in Hitman 2. That blueberry muffin was lethal. Karen makes terrible muffins, apparently. They're bricks. Those games are just joy, and Hitman 3 is really good. But I needed to tell that story because my daughter she's funnier than me. It's a real problem. So,
have either of you played Cyber Shadow? Was the other kind of big?
No.
I heard it was really hard, and I was like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah, I got about halfway through, and then it was to the point where each section is taking me, I don't know, 25, 30 times to get through, and I'm good. It's a really good game if you love that kind of game, but it's difficult. So,
Got to be in the mood. I like those games. I beat Bloodborne. I'm a Souls player. It's fine, but I have to be in the mood, or else I get big F this, flip over the table energy.
It's like
delete the app energy.
Like Mega Man, right?
It's like Ninja Gaiden, original Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's not
They're
like
hard.
I'm good with Shovel Knight.
Is there an easy
one
mode?
other? There, not that I know of.
I thought Shovel Knight was too hard too. By the way, like
with,
people
with
made fun
Shovel
of me when it
Knight
came out.
and what's the platform I really liked? Celeste.
Yeah, Celeste is hard too.
Celeste is great.
Is hard. One of the things that made me finish those games is the story's also good. The story in Cyber Shadow, I have no clue what's going on. It's nonsensical. And so now when I'm getting to a wall, I don't want to run through it because I don't care about the story. But the gameplay, it's good. If you're really good at those kind of games, then give it a try.
I might get good at some point.
Also, it's on
also
Game
Game Pass.
Yeah, this is the game. It's Game Pass podcast.
That's it.
All right. We played video games. Look at that. We played video games like responsible podcasters. Now we can talk about the news. But it needs to stop being in all the news in one news week. Let's talk about the sports stuff first. A sentence I never thought I would say out loud on an Xbox podcast. Let's talk about MLB The Show.
Yeah.
Which is coming to Xbox X and S. And this was known. This is a thing that we knew. It's also coming to Xbox One. April 20, 2021, which is, I think, a month past their normal release date.
Yeah, about that.
I think
usually
it's
comes
March.
in March.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I buy it every year for my husband. And then I play it because I like baseball games.
Now you're in Jersey. What's your baseball team?
We're Yankees fans because I grew up a Yankees fan.
Hey,
So-
I'm
Hey,
Ohio.
bro,
I'm
I've
a
been a
tribe.
Yankees fan.
I have a soft spot for the Yankees, especially the '90s Yankees.
You have a
I,
soft spot
Yeah, those are my
watching
Yankees.
and listening to those. My
for the
granddad was
Steinbrenner
a
Buy
Yankee
It
fan.
Now Yankees championships. It's just like they
Hey.
basically eBay championships up there.
I also am a Phillies fan though because I live right outside of Philadelphia
That's
now,
better.
and because we're not in the same division, I can like both,
Oh, yeah.
and whoever
Respectable.
gets further, I can cheer for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, the Phillies are bad most of the time, but what are you going to do? Okay, so let's talk about this.
Yeah.
This is a PlayStation-owned studio, which means PlayStation's logo will be on the Xbox box because they are the publisher.
Yep.
more interesting to me because we knew that this was going to happen. This was announced. This was like, this is not news necessarily. What is news is this will not be a smart delivery title. So this is going to cost, if you want the series version, $10 more than the Xbox One version.
Is
that
the same? Isn't that the same that they're doing on PlayStation?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
yeah, this is what Sony's.
I put this in here. I know how that makes sense, but I put this in here because if you're an Xbox person and a lot of your games are still $60, and then you go to get the show and they're like, it's $70, you're like, wait, what? Why? That's why.
Well, it's the same as NBA 2K.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's weird because Microsoft has leaned so hard into smart delivery, which is brilliant and a great feature. But for this to be the game, it's like, oh,
of course it is.
Of course it's the game with the Sony logo on it, right?
On the box. Yeah, of course it is.
It's not the only game though. That's been
it's not the only one.
It's not the only one, but the majority of them, majority of the games on Xbox have enabled smart delivery, and the majority of them are not $70 like full retail. There's still specific ones that adopted that $70 price tag. Like Creed was $60, right?
Assassin's Creed?
I don't remember.
I didn't know if you were talking about the Creed boxing movie.
No, not that one. I think
my brain. That's where my
Valhalla and Phoenix and everything. I think were $59.99.
Yeah, the UB games are $60.
Yeah.
Actually, by
does
now
not
they're
want to
probably
go
10.
to the UB games are in the bargain bin right now, but they shouldn't be because they're good. But the thing I will say that they put Jackie Robinson on the cover of the special version, which I think is cool. It's a great cover. If you love baseball, and I love baseball, like that's my sport because I'm a nerd and I like numbers. My husband's sport too. He looks at me and he goes, I didn't even want it this year, but I have to have that Jackie Robinson version. Like he's like,
that version includes both copies.
It does.
I know that. Yeah, it does include both copies. It includes the steelbook and the hat that you get every year. It's essentially the $100 version that you've been able to buy. I know this because I had to buy the Judge version of that game because my husband is a huge Yankee fan. So I'll buy the Jackie Robinson is an icon.
That's a pretty cool cover. I like that.
Yeah, of course.
Like that.
It's a beautiful black and white cover too. It's great. So look, this is. I would make the argument this is the best sports game you can buy. This is the argument that I would make.
If you're
fair argument to make, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would disagree.
They put their
it's
blood,
an exceptionally
tears into that game.
Yep.
It is exceptional in almost every way. It is exceptional twice over if you love baseball, but it is maybe the best sports game on the market. If you are looking for a sports game, this is the one.
And if you missed the missed the news 2 years ago, essentially Major League Baseball came to Sony and said, we've got to open it. You got to make more money. We're leaving too much money on the table. That's basically what they said. Like, we're giving you the license. We know you make the game. We're either going to open up the license for somebody else to make a game, or you've got to open up this for other folks.
The license was open for other people to make the game. Nobody else could make a game that was...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but...
Not everybody
No one was going to beat the show.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No one was going to beat the show. Is an exceptional. It's been an exceptional sports game for like a decade.
For years, yeah.
It's nearly perfect in every way, and I buy it yearly, and I don't care. And I don't generally play sports games, but MLB The Show I play.
It's a good question. Are you going to keep playing on PlayStation, or are you going to buy it on Xbox now?
I'm going to switch to Xbox because we've been talking already about getting a Series X for the living room. The old PlayStation that's up there is eating it. I would just get the Xbox version because my husband is over it faster than me, and then I'll just commandeer it to my Series X. I'm excited that this is happening because more people are going to get to have probably the best sports game on the damn market.
And it's
just that simple.
Crossplay with other consoles. Yep. Coach
Very
wants
important.
to know, how will MLB The Show do on Xbox this year?
I think it has the potential to do super well against the number of consoles that are out there because there is no other option, and people have been starving for a baseball game, a quality sim baseball game on Xbox for a very long time.
I think it's very easy to say that there are a lot of sports gamers that like to play on Xbox, and I would expect this game to sell very well.
Yep.
And
Not as well. I mean, Sony's got more boxes in the market, but
sure. Haley wants to know, with a collaboration on MLB The Show, do you think we'll start to see more?
This crossover type of stuff?
Yeah, of these studios, these games, publishing games on other stuff. I mean, like, you could use the Bethesda thing. Like, Xbox will start to publish some PlayStation games at some point. Like, we know they're doing Deathloop, and we know there will be more.
I don't think it'll be a normal thing.
Neither do I.
Agree.
No.
I think Microsoft's the only one that they could leverage over against competition that doesn't exist would be Forza Horizon, and they won't.
Yeah.
Want the Game Pass subs. They won't.
Yeah, no, they're not going to do that.
No.
I don't think this will continue to be a thing. I think it would be awesome if it were. It'd be great. I mean, we've said it. You and I have said it about the Bethesda thing the whole time. Like, I don't really care if they publish on PlayStation or not. It doesn't bother me at all.
Just give me the video games. Yeah, I don't care. I think it makes sense for MLB The Show because there's literally a black hole on the other side of the market. There are very few other situations like that doesn't have something to fill the space. So if there's no black hole, why do it? Doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Let's talk about more sports. Let's talk about college freaking football, dude.
Back.
I do not like Madden. I love NCAA. I used to love NCAA football. I don't know why. I can't explain it. Those games were bomb. They've been good.
They're better games.
They're fun.
I mean, the reason that you like it is they're better games. They have pageantry. There's more of like a campaign. You get to do recruiting. You get to do program building. You get to build pipelines. You get to do staff management and roster management. So much more than just the NFL season and the Super Bowl.
They're coming back. So they're bringing back NCAA football.
Yep.
I mean, what do we know about EA bringing back NCAA
I've talked about this, and I'm so happy that when this news was announced that I got tagged like 50 times. It made me really happy. And I was really excited for the news. So let's just say that now. Like, I'm excited that it's coming back. I'm going to temper my excitement, which I did on Twitter, because for a few reasons. One, I always knew it was coming back. Like, there's just way too much money to be made here for it not to come back. Two, I'm a little bummed with what and how they announced this return. And I just thought I was like, guys, come on.
Just tweeted it.
You could have done it a little bit better. All right, so here's the thing.
Was the timing because they have an earnings call at the same time?
Yeah.
So this came out
and
and Mass Effect stuff.
Yeah, and they're doing another golf game, and it's exactly why it came out. But what it was is it sounded like they just got really excited that they got a license deal and just needed to tell people and like couldn't hold on to that news for another year or something. Because here's the deal. All right, so they have agreed through licensing through CLC. CLC is the Collegiate Licensing Corporation, I believe. And the reason the NCAA left in 2013 with NCAA 14 is that there was a lawsuit flagged against the NCAA about using players' likenesses without their consent to earn money on things like merchandise and video games and all that. And it caused just a mess in college athletics and how things were governed. And it's still not completely solved. There were times it got so bad that there were lots of different times that like EA had deals with certain conferences, but not others. So we could have gotten a college football game that had like the SEC and the Big 12 and the MAC, but was missing the Big 10 and the Pac-12 and everybody else. Like, that's where we were kind of headed because there was no consolidated bargaining table. So the CLC really was kind of, I don't know if they were put together, but this is really what they do, is that they kind of license these deals to people that make t-shirts and cups and things like that on behalf of the entire organization, everybody that's a member. Now, it's not everybody. EA was very quick to point out that they will have over 100 schools. They didn't say they'd have every one.
Will not feature any rosters with player likenesses or images. That's an important note.
It's just going to be gone. And
which makes sense.
It's interesting because a lot of people were going, well, we'll just make our own. I don't think you're going to be able to. I don't think you're going to have a roster creator or roster shares.
Don't think so. Interesting.
I think this is not going to be part of the game. I think it's going to be a part of this deal. I think a part of the deal is the only way that you can stop getting, because here's the thing. If they put it in there and people make their own, they'll get sued. They'll get sued again because they'll say, you know what you're doing. So that's just not going to be in there. They're just going to take it out, I think, until there is I believe is it the NIL, Seth? They're in labor negotiations now with the ability, like they're trying to legislate literally how they can pay collegiate athletes for their, like that's happening now. So by the time this game comes out, if that gets put in place, there's a chance that those rosters could be included.
Yeah.
But right now,
they can't.
Or updated.
You can't go. EA is not going to go to Ohio State and negotiate with Justin Fields to.
They need a blanket agreement. They need a way to negotiate with all 20,000 athletes at once. And it'll probably be something as stupid as you sign a sheet of paper and you get the game for free. Like, I honestly think that'll probably be it. And they're not going to be handing out college athletes millions of dollars for these games. So it'll probably be a part of
they're
your
not.
scholarship, like when you accept it at some point in time. It'll just be a part of the scholarship, right? It'll be like when you sign your agreement, you're agreeing to these sort of things. Anyway, all right, so getting the business stuff out of the way. I don't think the rosters and the creator thing are going to be there. But the thing that was really a bummer with this news is there was a big breakdown of it on ESPN, like a big interview. They've really not started development on it. They've really not done anything besides they've acquired this license. So they come out with this tweet and they're like, college football is coming back. But it's probably not coming back until like 2024, 25. It's probably 3 or 4 years away.
I could see 2023.
Last week.
That's what I said. I said 2023 would be
At the earliest.
That feels like you're hoping. That's a real high hope.
Yeah.
That's if they use what they've got done with Madden and all of this business is done out of the way. Like that's a lot of ifs, I think. So, yeah, could it be 2023? It could.
We discussed this last week.
So,
this is my biggest pet peeve in video games. I hate the announcement of something exciting with no end in sight. I hate it.
Indiana Jones all over again. Like, we'll see
next,
it 5 years
next story is going to hit on something. Yeah, the next story will hit on something I prefer, which is a window of about 6 months or less, where you tell me, here it is, this is what it has, it's out then. That's what I want. Not this, don't do this.
I do wish that I wish they waited. Now, the other thing about it is, even if they do pull the Madden engine and they build from there, and that's a great place to build from. I know Madden gets a lot of crap, especially the new gen versions, but it's still Madden. I've played it. It's very good.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem is, even the problem with that on the NCAA side, that's still over 100 universities. You've got to create a stadium for, you've got to create uniforms for, you've got to create rosters for.
Yeah.
Like, it takes a long time. Like,
and
this is not
one
a
of
thing.
my favorite parts of the old NCAA games and March Madness games was I went to Kent State.
Yep.
And I liked taking Kent State and having them win the MAC championship. And after 10 seasons competing for the
you want to build a program. Yeah.
But they actually had Kent State's football stadium in it by the not always, but by 2013 or whatever, they had Dick Stadium.
Yep.
And they had the MAC Center, and it looked like Kent State. And so to get to that level of detail, and I'm not even necessarily expecting that in year one.
No, neither am I. But I would expect that all the Power 5.
No, I'm not either.
I would expect every school in the Power 5 to have their own stuff. Then that by itself is what? That's 60, 70 universities.
Yeah.
More than the NFL by a large margin. That's the point. Madden is already a problem and already a mess, buggy-wise. It's still fun, but it has its issues. You're now compounding it and exponentially growing the amount of content there. That's a big effort.
You can't release the game without a proper dynasty mode, and that means recruiting, and that means coaching. Like, you have to have that. That's the reason why so many people love and prefer that game over the original, or over Madden. So if you don't have any of that in there, I think you do the game a disservice.
Well, and getting to play, I liked playing with Navy, and that's a very different experience than playing with Ohio State.
And that's even like the gameplay options the NCAA did. It was the way that they focus on being able to run the option, be able to run college type stuff and building that into the engine. How much of that is built into the Madden engine? Can you run a triple option in Madden? I don't know if you can. That's a question for a coach.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's things like
we
that.
Need an expert.
And
I'm not.
And you don't want all the NFL stuff in there too. Like, you also don't want all that NFL stuff coming to the college football game either. You don't want it to play like Madden. You want it to be different. So
feel cheap if they do that. They have to pull that stuff out. Otherwise, it's like, what? Then I'm just, I'm buying Madden. I
think 2023 sounds like a pipe dream. Now, EA's got all the money in the world, right? They can make it happen if they want to, but it sounds like a pipe dream. Probably 2024.
I wish they had waited until they were a year out.
At least wait until you have like an engine to show us. Show us something. Don't just. It's a JPEG.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. This is still exciting. It's been almost a decade. We're pushing up on a decade of not having an NCAA.
Regularly, you will see me online. I regularly play NCAA 14 still. I still do weekly.
I think 12 was the one I think I played to death. I think it was 12.
I own it on every platform that I have. My Vita has NCAA on it. My Wii has NCAA on it. My PlayStation 3, my Xbox 360. Like, when it went away, I snatched it up everywhere because I was like, I will not go without it. I will always have it at some point until they come back.
Art can't go on without this game.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this, but I'm bummed it's going to be so long. But I'm very excited about this because I never thought it would happen. I was like, it's such a, because of all this litigation and mess.
So
I never thought we had a chance.
good. It's gonna look so good.
You didn't jump on playing Maximum Football 2020?
No, I didn't.
But
here's the thing:
Axis Football.
My NCAA love is so strong that when I saw people creating rosters, I did look into it.
Yeah.
And when I found out that I would have to create everyone one at a time, I was like, no. But if they had a roster share, absolutely would have bought that game. I would have bought that game like that.
Love this.
I'm excited.
All right, last game announcement story, and this is going into what I said earlier. This is my favorite thing. The Mass Effect Legendary Edition has been announced, right? Well, they re-announced it this week and gave us a date, May 14. That's soon. PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It will be playable.
I don't think it has been announced.
This was announced.
I think Jeff Grubb rumored it. Did they actually announce it, like, formally?
It's releasing May 14th.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, now I'm sorry.
Previously?
That's what I thought you were talking about, previously.
It was previously announced that they were
the Legendary Edition was announced on, was it November 7th last year? N7 Day?
It was back.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. Thank you.
N7 Day.
Yep, N7 Day.
We're getting it on May 14, which is soon. A lot sooner than I actually had thought. I would have thought we would be looking at the next N7 Day, actually, or fall. PC, PS4, Xbox One. It will be backwards compatible, playable on PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles, which is fine. It's being remastered to 4K.
It's going to run 4K 60. I don't know what.
Yes.
Yeah, what an extra version do?
Yeah.
They're remastering all the textures. They are actually both hand touching and using AI modeling to retexture the whole freaking thing, which is, some of the side by sides are amazing. Just using like an AI tool to rebuild light effects, super cool. They're updating the HUD to make it, quote, feel more modern. It seems as if the heaviest lift here is coming in the Mass Effect 1 stuff, because obviously that beast, the big beast. There is two notable things. One, PC versions will support controllers. PC versions of 1, 2, and 3 currently do not support controllers. I own all 3. It's annoying. You have to use a mod patching controllers. It's so weird. But that's true. It's so weird because they released them on 360 with controller support and they didn't port it into the Origin version. And I'm like, excuse me, what? And this one was interesting. This story actually came out today. All the DLC for all the games will be included except for one piece of DLC. Mass Effect 1's Pinnacle Station DLC is not to be included because their original source code is too corrupted to recover. They're unable to recover the source code and rebuild the DLC for this release, which is, I don't remember that DLC. It's been a very long time. A weird thing. Oops.
I never played that. Actually, Mass Effect is the game that made me jump from a Wii to a 360. And then I never ended up beating the original game. My 360 got the Red Ring of Death. And so then I jumped to PS3. So I've never finished all of Mass Effect 1. So I'm excited about that.
The second game is my favorite as someone who loves the trilogy. The first is a very close second, actually. It plays very differently, but I like dialogue and RPG elements in 1 a lot. A lot. I think it's kind of special, and I'm glad to see it getting the extra love, and I hope more people who just skipped right to 2 double back. I think it's very cool. They also announced a physical, what they're calling the Legendary Cache. Game is not included.
Yeah, I hate when people do that.
I don't hate this because I can buy the game digitally this way.
Who cares?
Can buy the digital game.
They should put a digital code
Price
in the box.
will be the same.
Yeah.
Could have, but then the box would have been $200 instead of $150.
They're shelling out for $100 for their damn helmet. They give you a copy of the game at that point. Jesus.
I don't look, man. I bought the Doom Collector's Edition.
I don't know.
The helmet's cool. The helmet's a 1-to-1 scale. Yeah. There's a helmet, there's a steelbook, there's a bunch of other stuff. The most notable thing being there is no video game in the steelbook, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
It's $150 either through BioWare or...
Here's a game case.
It would have... Here's the thing. What's included in this box is what was in the Doom Eternal Collector's Edition minus the game. And it's $50.
Yeah, I was saying, no, that wasn't the case because I got the Doom Eternal Collection. I got the game and awesome. And you got 2 steelbooks.
But that was $200.
Right?
That was $200. Yeah, I got 2
We had
steelbooks
2
too. 'Cause I'm
steelbooks in
dumb.
the Doom Electric.
I
They're
walk
like, you pick one.
Did you have 2 canvas art selections?
That,
The Doom Collector's Edition was pretty fire.
Was it?
but it was
We had like a
$200.
tape with music and like all the other
Oh, I got
stuff.
that thing in.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
I-
And got a helmet and all kinds of stuff.
Helmet, you can wear it.
It's crazy that you're buying a collector's edition for a game that doesn't include the game. Like I find it, and Dev says this all the time that he would prefer this. I just think it's crazy. It's bizarre.
I don't care when the price difference is the price of the game, which it is. Like the Doom Collector's Edition was like $200 plus tax. This is $150.
Yeah, I got
The difference is the game.
That's
price.
a good point because I got the Doom Collector's Edition. That was the last thing that I bought with my GCU, and they gave you that 50% off coupon. So I got the Doom Collector's Edition for like nothing, for like $90.
Yeah, well, mine was $200. You know, it's the same price you would pay. And now I like that you can mix and match. Like if you can't, like if I want to buy it digital, I can.
But see, and that's the thing. That's the answer. The answer isn't that, oh, I like this, that it doesn't have it. Like the answer is to let people build these bundles. Let them choose if they want the game or not. Like, just give them a little itemized, cart shopper. That's not that big of a deal. Throw a copy of the game in the box. You can add a digital copy.
I think you can add a digital copy of the game on their store. Same.
There you go.
No, like that
works.
It's not a big deal. This was, as of this recording, still up for pre-order on Best Buy and the BioWare Gear Store. BioWare Gear Store, free shipping. Oh, I didn't pre-order this. Yes, I pre-ordered this. It'll be at my house at release. Let's go. We have questions associated with this, right, Donnie? We had some.
We do.
Related.
Jay Carping about says, "How would you play the Mass Effects redo differently now versus then?" I won't. That's my answer. I never played it then. It was a game. This is one franchise I've never gotten into. I did play Mass Effect 1 on backwards compatibility on Xbox at the behest of Josh. He asked me to play it. I put in about 5 to 8 hours. Wasn't like I thought it was fine. I thought it was good, but I was playing an old game and, wasn't when I want to stick to it. I'll give this a try because I will say this. I love a good collection. I love a good bundle. Just a lot. It's a lot of game for your money. I like that.
It's like it's over 100 hours of video game for your $60.
I'll definitely boot it up and try it. But I have no nostalgia or love for the series, so I don't know if I'll stick with it. I'll probably catch it on sale or when it comes to Game Pass. I'll probably wait for it to come to Game Pass, to be honest with you. Unless Kevin gets like a review copy, I'll wait for it to come to Game Pass.
Seth, what about you? You've played 2 and 3, so then versus now.
I played 2 and 3, and I played both of them. I don't know, 3 times in a row. Like I just played them back to back. Like I couldn't stop. And so what I'll probably do differently, because I've seen the Paragon and I've seen the Renegade. I'll probably just play through it and make whatever choices I feel like making, rather than doing one or the other. Maybe that would be my only change. That is my one. Mass Effect 2 is probably my favorite game ever. But one thing that I like about more modern RPGs is there's more gray area, where Mass Effect 2 is very blue and red. You're either Paragon or Renegade, and there's no. And really, the Renegade, it's not like you're a bad guy. You're just kind of a jerk.
You're a jerk, like a straight up
a big jerk.
Yeah,
but
you're such a jerk that I can't do it. I've said this on this show and other shows before. I played through Mass Effects 1, 2, and 3. I was a Paragon. I was like, I'm gonna play them again. I'm gonna be a Renegade, and I literally just couldn't. I'm like, I can't. This does not fit my person. I just can't do it. I played these games. I actually played as male Shepard through all 3. I would like to play as female Shepard through this remaster. Jennifer Hale is great. She's exceptional, and she's a great voice actress, and I just want to be a badass lady in space. So that's what we're going to do. That's how I'm going to do it differently.
I thought about that. I'm not very creative, so I just played the standard male Shepard. That's my Shepard. So
I liked him. He's a great, he's attractive. So I was like, fine, let's go, why not? Yeah. So
the Elusive Man says, concerning the legendary cache, besides the actual game itself, what other cool Mass Effect collectible would you have put in the collector's edition? He said he probably would have gone with some sort of statue of the Normandy. What about you guys?
So there is a statue of the Normandy available for pre-order. It's the Normandy from Mass Effect 3, and I did.
It's R2.
Yeah, it's the SR2. And I did pre-order that. So that I'm not getting the cache because I don't have a spot for.
You need a helmet, dude.
All that stuff.
What are you gonna do with
that would be awesome.
Need the helmet.
You got COVID going on? Got your Mass Effect helmet? Put your mask
Hey,
on.
I get the vaccine next week. I don't need a helmet anymore.
You still need a helmet. Don't say that. Why does everybody say it? You still need to wear a mask.
Oh, you still wear
I'm not
a
going to
mask.
wear a helmet. I'll still wear my mask.
We had so many damn cops say that after they got. I was like, stop saying that.
That's fine. I would love, and I own one of these. It's not within grabbing distance. I thought a model of the Omni tool would have been cool. I own like a wearable flip forward Omni tool.
I feel like on
that's really
your
cool.
right arm, you can probably get an Omni tool tattoo. There you
I
go.
thought about that. I thought about that with the dog paw that I have, but an Omni tool or some sort of shepherd statue.
Did I say
cool.
Omni
But there's games
tool,
it gets.
or did I say Omnipod when I said that?
I said Omni tool.
Okay, I don't know. Omnipod is
Oh,
a
you're
diabetes
You
thing.
guys
I
are
don't know.
saying words.
Big space.
You say
thing.
words to me all the time. You say words that I don't care about all the time. This is how this relationship works. I talk at you and you talk at me, and then we both laugh about something stupid later. I actually think the collector's edition that they did is kind of dope. Like, I like that collection of stuff. It would be cool to get an N7 like patch, or they actually sell at the gear store like a car emblem. Looks like one of the Mercedes or something, like a metal car emblem that says N7. That would have been cool. I don't know. I like stickers.
What
I'm
about
very simple.
a statue? Who's your favorite character from, other than Shepard?
I
if
like
Shepard-
the hot girl.
You like the Asari?
Miranda
Yeah.
from 3.
Oh, you like
Or
Miranda?
Liara.
Okay. I was thinking
Oh,
Liara.
Liara's my favorite.
Liara's
My favorite.
That one.
Blue lady.
What about
Donnie.
Garrus? Don't you like Garrus? You're not a big.
No, I'm not a Garrus.
Everybody,
I'm not Team Garrus.
everybody stands for Garrus.
Everybody has body pillows with Garrus on them, and I'm like, whoa, like, okay, that's fine. Garrus is rad. Liara's my favorite. She always will be.
Me too.
Don't at me on Twitter about this. Like, all right, what else do we have this
We're gonna
week,
catch
Donnie?
up on
Because
this,
I've been
so yeah.
talking.
Drew Murray's leaving the initiative. You might remember him. He was in the developer interview video when they released their Perfect Dark trailer. He's a really nice guy, and he's a really cool Twitter follower, and he's just a really good personality. And he's from Insomniac, where he worked on Fuse and Sunset Overdrive and Ratchet and stuff like that. So a lot of people, I know it made news when he came into the studio, and it's making news as he leaves. He's leaving for personal reasons. There are things if you want to find out and stuff about him. I'm not going to talk about his life, but he's leaving for personal reasons. There's nothing going on at the studio or anything like that. He's out. Now, he's not the game director. He's not the studio head. He's the design director for the game. Not saying his, loss won't be felt. I'm just trying to put it in perspective. There's some nasty tweets about this when it came out.
I think this is worth noting and discussing because it's worth noting that it's okay to make the decision to leave the job when you need to.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to walk away from what people would think of as a dream job because something else is more important than that job.
Yeah.
And that's why this story stuck out to me. Like, this might have been this probably was his dream job. Or let's just say it was a job he really
went
loved.
on record and saying that as he tweeted out a long thread, and he's going through some family stuff, and it's tough. It's tough that he's going there.
I don't want to touch.
Yeah.
It's should be admirable that someone chooses that over the job.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely. Especially video
games.
games.
That's boss.
Video games? Come on.
Any job, Donnie. Any
Well,
job.
I mean,
if you have the option to walk away,
there is like a job of
something
service,
bigger.
right? Like like I get it.
Sure.
Families first, but like if you're the president, maybe give yourself like second thoughts or something like that. But you know what I'm saying? Not in video games.
Walking away from this man did
Perfect
describe
Dark
it as
will
his
be
dream
fun.
job. There's something to be said for saying this was my dream job and I'm making the choice to walk away because there's something even bigger than that for me. And I think that's admirable, and to be public about that is admirable, and to be honest about it is admirable. So it's worth talking about.
Last Friday, 343 kicked off their Inside Infinite monthly blogs, I guess is what they're going to start doing. And I imagine once they start test flights, we'll have videos and stuff like that. But this was a lot of fluff, and they showed off more coatings and stuff like that. But there was a little piece in here that I actually thought was newsworthy. They mentioned that they're rebuilding the Slipspace engine. And instead of running optimally on Xbox One, which is what the engine was built for, they've redesigned it to where it now is more scalable to fit newer CPUs and higher graphical output GPUs on modern PCs and new consoles. So they also added in that all of the launch content for Halo Infinite is currently in-game and being played daily.
I will believe it when I see it.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
fair.
no, I'm at this point with Halo Infinite. Like, show me. Don't the fluff blogs.
I think that's
just
what these
show
little
me.
monthly blurbs are decided to do. You know, like they kind of
Yeah.
have a check in from everybody on the team, and you have Charla and everybody kind of talks through it all and Staten.
Just this is brought up in our chat right now. I think Cyberpunk was the game that just finally broke me. Just show me the video game when you're ready to show me the video game and stop talking about the video game.
Yeah.
Problem is,
know what I mean?
Cyberpunk still isn't ready to show you the video game.
No,
So
But they said it was playing well, playable. You know what? Shut up.
Right.
Make your video game.
Yeah.
That's fine. Take your time.
they're not going to tell you
but
it's
show me
bad.
it.
Nobody's
No,
ever
of
going to be
course
like,
not.
look, guys, it's rough.
It's fine to not have to do the check-in every 15 minutes. Like, hey, Mom, I'm okay. And then go to the store.
How relieving would it be if somebody actually did come out and be like, look, man, we're struggling. Like, it's kind of a mess right now. You know, like, I think that's early access and stuff. Like, you see that, like, smaller devs, they bring people in and let them be a part of experiences. But these giant games, these $1 million marketing budgets and stuff, they're never going to go there. So I do think it's interesting that they did talk about the Slip Space engine, and they specifically targeted about next gen. There's still a lot of people out there that think it's not coming to Xbox One. And I imagine for a lot of people like that, this is probably evidence for them. We'll see.
we'll see.
The last thing that I put in there's not really like news, but it is worth pointing out. Microsoft's head of investor relations, Mike Spencer, said that he expects supplies of the Series consoles to be limited through at least June. This comes off the heels of CFO Amy Hood also saying basically the same thing, and AMD CEO basically saying the same thing. The AMD CEO
This is a chip problem.
Yeah, so their more CPU, GPU components are in short supply, which is why they can't make any more.
Everyone, y'all.
And Phil Spencer said, we've sold everyone we've got. Like we've sold everything that we could make. We still don't know what that is. They don't release numbers. We don't know if they made $1 million or 10 million. We don't know. But so if you were going, I'll wait and I'll get one. Like, I won't pay a scalper, or I won't, try to, get deal alerts and stuff. Just know you could be waiting. That wait might be a lot longer than we thought. I was thinking that these would normalize by March. Could be June or July. And then
I think that
does that meet demand?
the post-COVID age, take your number, double it, and then there you are.
That's
so
exactly what I was
there.
thinking. Because like if you're not getting legit supply until June, that's not gonna quell demand. Like that just means in June when you have more to sell, they'll all sell out. So it could be a minute.
right.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be, and this was we saw this problem with the Wii back.
Yeah.
And we've seen this problem with the Switch on occasion.
For like a good year and a half. It took a minute.
Total year.
Yeah.
There was no pandemic. So, I mean, like, don't pay scalpers. Set up deal alerts on Twitter, but don't pay scalpers. Please don't pay scalpers.
I know that people
join
don't
the PSVG Discord.
We'll get you one.
We'll drop. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll get you one.
Yep.
I've gotten 2 or 3
Love
of them.
you.
Like, we'll get you one. We can get you one. They can be had.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing.
Just chill.
I know people that just I know people that like $100 either way is not a big deal. If they want to buy one off eBay or something just to go ahead and get one, like I wouldn't fault anybody. Like if you want it,
I guess I don't.
Go ahead and do it. Don't pay like egregious amounts. Don't pay $1,400 for a PS5. Trust me, I've got one. It ain't worth it. Like it's not worth that much money.
Also,
don't do that.
What I think I'm trying to say is they can be had.
They can be had
without you having to go there.
You just have to work hard. If you don't want to
one.
work hard at it, if you can get it for less than $7, it's not too bad. Go ahead and get it.
I kind of agree with that. This becomes a cost benefit analysis of how much is your time worth.
Exactly.
I get it. I do. I get that. I am
that person,
one of those people
I'll
who
stay up all night to get one. Like I'll work hard to save a buck.
That person
some people are
with
like,
some things, and with other things, I'm like, I'll pay you to cut my lawn. Not going to do it. So everybody has a cost benefit line. You know what I mean? That's fine. All right. This is the Game Pass podcast. So let's say our Game Pass updates.
Ooh.
What is coming out to Game Pass?
We have Ghost of a Tale out on PC, Project Winter coming to everything, The Falconeer, which I am so excited about because I wanted to play this game and I just didn't want to buy it. The Falconeer coming to everything tomorrow? All of these are tomorrow, February 4th.
Yeah, February. Not all. Well, okay, all the ones.
February 11th.
All of these are February 4th, the ones I just read. And you get 10% off the upcoming DLC on the Falconeer as well. And then on February 11th, you can get Final Fantasy 12, The Zodiac Age, or Jurassic World Evolution. Stealth Inc. 2, which is a good game. I like that game. Or Wolfenstein
It is a good
Youngblood.
Just streaming only, right?
Yeah.
Blood.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't see that.
So is it?
Worth
That
noting.
must mean is it already out on console then?
It's got to be.
It's got to
Yeah.
be.
It's got to
Remember.
be. It's got to be.
The game is so forgettable.
There's nothing on Game Pass that's streaming only. I don't think that exists. No, it's got to be. And then leaving February 15th is Ninja Gaiden 2 World of Horror De Blob. And then the 16th, close to my own heart, play it if you haven't. Shadows of the Damned.
So good.
Very
so
good.
stupid. So
Dumb.
delightful.
Really
Please
dumb,
play
right?
Shadows
Super
of-
dumb.
Wait, so that's an
it's-
an EA Play game and it's dropping out?
Yes, which is
Okay, I didn't realize EA Play games dropped out of the vault.
They
I didn't either.
rotate. I don't know how EA Play works, but if you have access and you have some time for something real stupid, please play Shadows of the Damned. It's dumb. It's great.
Shadows of the Dam
Super
is it's been a minute since I played it. It's been at least 2 or 3 years. Like a Western horror. But it was made by Suda51 and Shinji Mikami. So you get No More Heroes
Stupid.
and Resident Evil and like old Platinum stuff. Like it's
So none of the writing is Resident Evil. It's all stupid. It's all No More Heroes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I bought
It's
this
so
for
stupid.
Kev
It's so good.
after backwards compatibility was announced because he was like, I've never played it. And I was like, oh, I'll buy it. You can play it now. Because it was like, you've got to play. It's incredibly. And if you've played like No More Heroes Travis Strikes Again on Switch, there's an entire chapter in that game dedicated to Shadows of the Dam, and it's amazing. It's incredible.
I was so excited. I was sitting in an airport coming home from Alaska while I played that bit of that game for work, and it was so stupid, and so it made me so happy that I don't think people
It's
understand.
like Suda51 had the idea. I'm just there's something I want to say, and I just can't remember the name of the damn movie. What's the zombie movie with like Selma Hayek and Tarantino?
Grindhouse?
Come on. I want to say
that's a great
Bordello of
movie.
Blood, but that's the Crypt
No.
movie. That's the wrong one. I just can't think of the
No.
damn name.
Zombie
From
movie
Dusk
or
Till Dawn.
vampire?
From Dusk Till Dawn. It's like
Vampire movie.
Suda51
Vampires.
wanted to make a Dusk Till Dawn movie or a Dusk Till Dawn game. Because you're like a
Writing is about on par.
because you're like a Mexican vampire hunter, right? And it's like a Western. He's got like a jacket. It's kind of like a cowboy thing. He's got like a 6-shooter.
You are starting to sell me on this.
He got his girlfriend, and he's trying to find out what happened to his girlfriend. He talks to his gun, which is
There's
made
like
out
these
of bones.
demon
Bro,
people.
okay.
Yeah, it's a video game for sure. It is a video game. So you can only
Video
play it
game
for free
aspect.
for another week or so. So play it.
Huh.
I like it.
The Falconeer and Project Winter are currently on Game Pass. You can download them right this second.
Nice. I will be doing that after the
They
show.
always put everything up early. And they
I'm
say,
excited to play the Falconeer. I like a good,
too.
dog hunting game where you just like. I was getting like Star Fox 5, so hopefully it's good. I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't sold enough to buy it, and that is. I feel bad when I say that because the developers out there are
You
like,
pretty much buy everything. So
yeah, I
then
know, but I was
know.
like, I don't know if I'm going to buy this one.
He said to me, "This will come to Game Pass. Just you wait."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here we are.
And we
that was
all knew
obvious.
that. Like, yeah, we all knew that. I was
yeah.
upset it wasn't in Game Pass when they showed it. I was like, that should be in Game Pass.
Oh yeah.
You were like, that should be in Game Pass when they showed it, and we all knew that this would happen. And I held off too because I think this is full price. Wasn't this a full price joint?
Oh, it was
I think
30.
it was like 40.
It was
I was going to say it was $39.99
40.
at launch.
Okay.
I think. You might be right, Seth. I didn't look into it that much because it was more than it should have been.
More than I wanted to pay.
$29.99.
Yeah, it should have been a Game Pass.
No more.
So
I
30.
feel bad when you say that. Is that a disservice to a game? If you look at a game, you're like, that's a Game Pass game. Is that a knock?
Or is that a
Yeah,
knock on Game
kinda.
Pass? It's like, oh, that's just a.
Well, it's not a knock on Game Pass. Game Pass is amazing. There are other amazing Game Pass games. Gears 5 is a game.
I think it is a little bit of.
Gears
it's a
5
little
is
bit
a
of a knock.
game with gold. Games with
Nobody,
gold.
no, we don't talk about that program here. Nobody cares.
Are you going to play Indiana Jones?
There's one program, and
And,
it's called Game Pass, and we've already played Gears 5.
Still should redeem it to your account, then you own it.
Yes, you should.
Always do that. Always do that. All right. Do we have before we go completely off the rails about games with gold? We have questions this week? We want to hit one or two before we're out of here. We've already been in it for a while, so.
Yeah, Jeremy wants to know. He goes, I agree with Donnie that Xbox needs to consolidate its services between consoles, live, gold, Game Pass, streaming. If you were giving advice to Phil, how would you do it? I can go here. if you want.
I think I said this last week in some capacity, so I'll repeat myself sort of. I would get rid of the $10 Game Pass tier. Make Ultimate your only Game Pass option. Make yearly purchasing of gold your only gold option, and add a family plan. There would be 3 options. And the family plans would only be for Game Pass. They wouldn't be for gold only. That's the way that I would do it. That's the tier structure that I would use. So that it forces people with more than 2 kids towards Game Pass, and everybody else just buys years of gold, and that's the end of it to me.
All right. I'm going, it's Game Pass. I'll give you a family option, but I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna bury that somewhere. I'm gonna call it like an add-on or something. I don't want to make it like a tier, because I want to focus on Game Pass. There's just Game Pass. There's no gold. There's no live. Just Game Pass. There's no xCloud. There's no Game Pass streaming. It's just Game Pass, and the app is just the Xbox app. There's not multiple apps. I want the parental controls app. I want the Game Pass app. I want the Xbox app. I want your chat, your store, everything in a one app.
God,
and
please.
it's the Xbox
God,
app.
please.
And my marketing can fit on an index card. It says, subscribe to Game Pass, download the Xbox app. And that's it. That's it. That's the only thing that you've got. And the Xbox app can be put on TVs, and it can be put on your phone and tablets, and streaming is a part of it. And when you open the Xbox app, that's literally all you see. You see store, stream games, Game Pass. Like you just a real simple little interface, and you pick what you want. Not everything needs its own marketing term, and not everything needs its own thing, and all these separate things are harder to sell. They need to consolidate all of it under one banner, and that banner should be Game Pass. And Xbox and Game Pass should be synonymous with each other. Like if they already aren't, they should be now. Like those 2 things, that's what you do. Xbox, Game Pass.
I think that's where they want to be. I think that it really is. I do. I just think that they have like years of stuff to figure out. It's like I gotta work through my bad relationship. The app thing is a problem. I
mentioned to you last week, I just found the parental controls app, and it fixed all of my issues with Jack. I didn't even know it was a thing. And you search Xbox, there's like 1,000 apps.
The app is great. If you have kid accounts, it's very good.
So the issue that I was having, Seth, was I set Jack up as a child account, which lets him share my library with me, so we don't have to buy everything twice, which works. That's great. But the problem is every time he logged in or to play something, I had to give him a password. I had to put my password in, right? On the parental controls app, which is not on the console. It literally lets you slider your way through that stuff. So you can pick certain ratings of games they can always play, how long, and it's all in this little app. And it's a very simple little app. And I'm like, why isn't this on the other 3 Xbox apps that I already had downloaded? Why did I have to find out about this?
And those settings are all in the console. There is a family settings tier in the console.
I went through all of those and I couldn't fix it.
I know, because I did it on the console first, but it's a nightmare to find it and unpack it, and you have to log in as your account on their console to do it. It's a mess.
Yeah, I did that and I couldn't figure it out.
App thing is a nightmare. There needs to be one app. I have to open a separate app to manage my Xbox Elite controller, manage my kid accounts, and buy stuff. Please, stop.
No, that's ridiculous. It needs to be one app centered on Game Pass. I saw people on Twitter today, they were trying to rebrand streaming and like its own thing. Like, what should we call it? And I'm like, don't call it anything.
Just Game Pass.
No, it doesn't need a name. Like when you open up Game Pass, there's a button on it on the game. When you look at the game's tile, it says play now. That's you just press it because it is streamable. You don't need its own program thing. Like, and people are like, well, how will people know if you're on a TV? Because when they open the app, it'll have all these games that you can play.
Yeah. You gotta solve the app issue, man. It's so stupid. It doesn't need to be this way.
Way too many apps. Way too many different apps. And I understand why they took the messaging off, because they're trying to do the iOS thing. Like, I understand that. But now that we know they're doing the browser thing, put the stuff back together. Like, get all the apps, put it all back in the Xbox app, and get rid of everything else. They still have like smart glass apps on like in the Android store. Like, what the hell? Get stuff out of here. I know it sounds like like I'm whining here in the 21st century. But here's the thing: when you're a person that doesn't know what we know and doesn't do what we do, when you go into the App Store and you type in Xbox and you get 1,000 different, that's too many. It's too many to figure out. It needs to be one. It needs to be one thing so people can find you. Because here's the thing:
they're not going to
call
it the Xbox One app.
No.
How about the Xbox Series?
Seth.
Xbox Series of apps.
Get out of here!
You need to get out. All right, this question's over.
back
We're
to
going
your
to another
home.
question. You've killed it.
Well, Seth didn't even get to say
That's what
he
I'm good
wanted.
for. That's what I'm good for.
Yeah, you don't get to answer
yes, that's
because
true.
because of your.
Hey,
You don't get to answer. Ryan Craig says, "What are some games that quote punched you in the feels or made you cry? When was the last time you rage quit a game?"
I just rage quit Cyber Shadow. I don't know, but rage quit is
That's
too
right.
strong.
Yeah, I haven't rage quit
Okay.
in a long time.
How about, because I think
When I
rage
was, like,
quit is too
9.
strong for most adult humans, right?
Yeah.
How about immediately got pissed enough to uninstall the app?
Yeah,
while you were
frustrated
sitting
enough that I just
Oh.
quit. That happens a lot.
Oh yeah, I think it was Monday or Sunday. I decided I was done with Cyber Shadow and I deleted it, and I'm good.
Yeah, there's several games that
there?
I'll play.
I'm done with this. Yeah. I can't remember the last time I did that. I'm pretty like, I need to stop now and calm down and come back. Like, I'm one of those people. I never really want to fully give up on something. I have to be pissed. I broke a controller over Devil May Cry 3 back on the PlayStation 2. That's the last time I got really pissed at a video game. Be very honest. So
There was one on Switch. I forget what it was. I think it had a demo or something. And I posted a screenshot. It was just a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey, I'm trying this out." And it was a golf game. What was it? It was like,
it's a golf game.
yeah, it was like a funny golf game. It was like golf with animals or something cute, right? And I was like, "Oh, this might be fun." And I tagged Rebecca 'cause she loves animals. I was like, she's like, "Tell me what it's like." And literally 4 minutes later, I sent her a screenshot of me uninstalling it because I played it for like 30 seconds. I was like, "Oh hell no."
Here's
that's
what I
the,
would
like,
do.
grown-up version of
If I were Phil, I would create a golf game and make it a separate tier above Game Pass, and
Yeah.
that's how I'd get Donnie
course.
to spend even more money.
One versus 100 is just a golf game. That's the next.
If
thing.
I were
Dude,
if
that would
I
be
were a game
amazing.
developer, I would just make
Do
a
you have
new
any idea
golf
how
game
good
every week,
that sounds?
and Donnie would buy it every single
Battle
week.
Royale golf game?
Yeah.
That sounds
There
awesome.
we go.
Holy crap, we need to license. We
I
need
love
to
it.
trademark this. Like, this is going to make some indie
Actually, they've
developer a
already
lot
had-
of money. Okay, let's see here. I thought we actually had a question about
games that
making
made you
games.
cry.
Oh, that's right. Games that made me
Games
cry.
that did you
Games
do you
cry.
games that made you cry? Let's consolidate this, or made you feel real actual
The
feelings.
Walking Dead season 1 made me cry.
Oh yeah.
The Last of Us
I
made
cried
me
in The
cry.
Walking Dead season 1.
Ori 1 made me cry.
Yes, I cried, and I got. Okay, interesting. I cried in Ori. I cried in both Ori games. They're sad. You can't.
The
murder
second
people.
one didn't, but the first one
Um,
definitely teared up a little.
I cried, and The Last of Us is actually an interesting one because I both cried and got very angry
Mhm.
in that game. Like, I had real feelings, and it was a very big swing, especially right at the end. If is Strange, the first,
Mm-hmm.
made me sob, ugly cry at the end, and at least at one point in the middle of that game, there is an interaction with a character in which you were trying to talk them down from doing something
Yeah.
truly awful, and I messed
Actually,
up the first
that's
time. I cried.
that's when I stopped playing that game.
I'm just like, I'm out.
Because
That game.
Because when I got to that part, I had just kind of been through something, and you just can't.
I screwed it up the first
Mhm.
time. I cried. I felt like awful. Like, I felt bad. And then the game made me sob and ugly cry at the end too. It's not unheard of. I'm a crier, but those games, I can remember what I felt when I sat crying about them. Like, just that
Life is Strange.
heaving chest cry.
I've never cried during Life is Strange game. I think before the storm, I felt grief like with the character, but the other
Sure.
ones I've never cried. The one game though, and I think at one point I streamed it. It was maybe on our Twitch channel. I don't remember. I played that Dragon Cancer on PC, and I literally bawled.
Oh, that game.
Like I was
And
at
you,
my
I couldn't-
dad's funeral ball. Like I cried my eyes out. That is the most heart-wrenching video game I've ever encountered.
If you do look it up, it's not for the faint of heart. And if you have children, I watched someone else play that and bawled my way through it. It is experience that I will not soon forget.
I felt
I
real
wanna-
dumb because of its like mannequin 3D model appearance. I was like, why am I crying at this? But I mean, the writing and the story is real. I mean, it is real and it hurts.
It's actually real.
Yeah.
Like it is a study in grief, and in a way that is very, very unique in this space and in many spaces. And I can't even thinking about that.
I teared up with season 1 of The Walking Dead and The Last of Us, but I didn't cry. This game, I cried.
Cried at those.
I was legit crying.
If anybody, like, it's funny to me when there are still parents out there who are like, "Oh, video games are toys," and I'm like,
not that one.
Not true anymore.
I'm stunned that game hasn't ever made it to console too.
No. Yeah. Well, when you think about what the developer has to go through to revisit that game, put it out again, would you want to?
No, but I feel like somebody might have done it for him.
Maybe, but dude, no.
I feel it's an important
game. All right, anything
like,
else we want to tackle?
I would recommend anybody do that one. Let's get Delvin's question out of the way. He goes, which Xbox character do you think would be best at surfing? He says he thinks Master Chief can probably catch a mean wave.
Man, Gears of War 5. Didn't you see how she rode through the snow? Come on.
That's a good question. That's good.
Come on, it's Kate. She's a badass.
Wouldn't Ori be pretty good on the surfboard?
I was like, this is pretty easy.
Yeah.
I think it'd be hard to go anybody above Ori.
I think that Kate's like basically snow surfing on that thing is the first thing I thought of, because that's basically what she was doing.
Yeah,
with a wind sail.
Spot on. I didn't even think about that. It's pretty good. Who'd be the worst?
Master Chief would be terrible at it. That armor's heavy as hell, dude. He get all rusty.
He does clunky.
Master Chief is just the only Xbox character Delvin knows. So.
That's a good point. That's probably true. We should end on that on a Delvin.
How about Craig? How do you think Craig would do?
I now want a
Craig's probably
surfing sim. I think that'd be excellent. Like a browser, like a Flash game.
Got the Hang 10 off the edge. Craig's probably a sick
I hope
surfer.
they do something really funny with Craig.
Can you imagine Craig in a Hawaiian shirt?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want silly Craig, like really dumb, silly Craig thing. You know, like in some games, you have like these dumb animation things, like during a load screen or something. I hope they do something stupid with Craig in one of those. That's exactly what they should do.
And I want silhouettes of someone surfing in every load screen now, just in black in the very. You know how Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze does those silhouettes as he's moving through? Yep. Surfing, only surfing.
Yep.
Official Xbox Sports now surfing. I think with that, we're gonna do it for the week because man, it's been a lot. Before we sign off, let me give a shout out to our Patreon producers. Thank you guys for your support. Michael Masick, Barry Cathcart, Edwin Callow, Nick Creature, Rude Days 93, Ben Moxham, Rob Emanuel, Nick Fallhaber, Paul Calicote, Kyle Heyman, Chris M, Evan Tyus, Josh Bourbon, and Grouchy Surge. Thank you all. I love saying your names every week. It brings me a lot of joy. And thank you to everybody who retweets and hangs out in the Discord. You should continue to do that. We like you. I like you. I don't know. Donnie's kind of grumpy sometimes. I like everybody.
Everybody but Delvin.
And the show is starting a little bit of crap. All right. Seth, thank you for joining us to talk about
Thanks for having me.
Video games. Donnie, as always, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Making the show go.
Wouldn't miss it.
That's going to do it for us. It's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. And until then, play some video games.
Peace.